I appreciate you all joining us this morning for this session. We are recording it so that we can share it out afterward. We'll post it online for those of you that want to review it again, and in case you missed something. It's important for us to be able to get really good information in the hands of our chamber members and community. And we feel like this is going to be fantastic. So I'm Melissa Vance. I'm the president and CEO of the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce. And today we have with us Brian Evans from INvets. He is going to share some really neat and really strong information on recruiting this untapped market, I believe, and the good work that his office is doing and bringing people here and choosing Indiana as a permanent location. So we'll get started in just a minute, but I do want to go ahead and tell you a few things that are coming up so you can mark your calendars. First of all, we have a 4-part legislative series that is a breakfast, and we do one per quarter, bringing in various elected officials. And this time we have decided to bring in a member of every one of our school boards from around Wayne County to serve on a panel for Q&A and talk about things that are important to their schools, some important initiatives, challenges, and some workforce development discussions. And then we'll have opportunity for those that are in attendance to ask questions. So you can register online for that now. Lynette's going to share that in the chat if she hasn't already. And then for employers, which I hope all of you are already aware of this, but we are hosting our 2023 career fair. This is going to be one of our biggest career fairs yet. This is held at the fairgrounds, and the date is not on here, but it is the
February 22nd and 23rd.
Thank you. The 22nd and 23rd. So the 22nd is a half-day career fair, and it's for Richmond High School students only. They're juniors and seniors will be with us on that day. And then the next day we rotate all of the rest of the schools through. And this year we have added National Trail from across the Ohio-Indiana border in Preble County, and they'll be joining us as well. So we'll have about 1,000 students or more coming through in these couple days, and we'll have some breakout sessions, some do's and don'ts. They'll learn more about their personality styles and how those things equate to career options here in Wayne County. And then they will come to the career fair floor and visit with employers that will have interactive booths and do some really cool things. But this is an opportunity for you to get your careers and your business in front of students that will be hitting the job market as soon as a few months, or as long out as several years, depending on their post-graduation plans. But we invite you to join us. It's free for chamber members, and a great fun day. Then we have our buy local committee doing a special promotion in February again called Love Local. Lynette, anything you want to share on this one?
So retail and restaurants have gotten through the holiday season, but this is the time of year that's kind of down as far as their sales go and so forth. So we're just giving a little extra love to retail, restaurants, all of our local businesses during this Love Local campaign time. So be sure to get out, shop locally, eat locally, support local. The campaign time is February 1st through 15th, but of course we always want you to be doing that. But during that special time period, if you can snap photos and share them on social media, that would be wonderful. We have a couple hashtags, hashtag love local WC and also hashtag share the love WC. When you visit some of our local eateries and retail places, you might see something that you're able to interact with and help share the love also for our businesses. So be on the lookout for that. But it's just a time period where we're kind of focusing on making sure that all of our local businesses are feeling the love.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to transition to our main event and content for today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Brian get his up and going. While he is doing that, I want to give you all a chance to introduce yourselves. So if you're in a place that you can take, turn your camera on and say hello to us, great. If you can't turn your camera on for some reason, we won't shun you for that. We still want to hear from you and get to know you a little bit better. So, Teresa, you are at the top of my screen, so I will let you go first.
Good morning. I guess it's still morning. Yes, I'm Teresa Lindsay. I'm the Business and Workforce Development Manager for the Economic Development Corporation of Wayne County.
Great. And Allison?
So I'm Allison Good. I am the employment specialist here at Retail.
All right. Thanks for being with us. Chantel.
Hello, I'm Chantel Baker. I am with Wayne County Chamber of Commerce and I am new, so I am learning a lot and I'm happy to see faces and learn where everybody is located.
Mark.
Mark Broker, Neighborhood Health Center, work HR generalist.
Good to see you as always.
You too, thank you.
Randy.
Hi, my name is Randy Like. I'm from Hills Pet Food and I'm the new HR coordinator.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Robert.
Hi, Bob Schroeder with Richmond Power and Light. I've been here 27 years. So
Great.
Good to join you.
Thanks for being with us, Bob. Alexis.
Hi, I'm Alexis Stamper. I'm an employment specialist here at Breed Health. Glad to be here.
Nice to see you. Cullen.
Yeah, so I'm Colin Wise. I'm with Osborne. I've been here since March. I've been working with you guys quite a bit throughout my time here. So, look forward to keep working with you guys.
Wonderful. Good to see you. Let's see. Candace.
Hi, I'm Candace Durley. I'm the HR manager at Soap Enclosures in Richmond.
Wonderful. Nice to have you. And Tammy?
Hi, I'm Tammy Napier. I'm the supervisor of human resources at Soap Enclosures.
Wonderful. Nice to have you, Tammy. Okay, did I miss anyone? All right, well, with that, I'm going to turn things over to Brian. And Brian, always a pleasure to see you and your team, and appreciate you bringing this information.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Wayne County Chamber, for inviting me, and thank you, Chamber members, for joining us today and hearing about INvets. My name is Brian Evans. I am the Outreach and Partnerships Manager for INvets, and I can't wait to show you what we got going on. So we like to start with this quote. At 24 years of age, a soldier on average has moved from home, family, and friends, and has resided in 2 other states. He's traveled the world, deployed, been promoted 4 times, bought a car and wrecked it, married, had children, and has had a relationship, financial problems, seen death, is responsible for dozens of soldiers, maintains millions of dollars of equipment, and gets paid less than $40,000 a year. And the reason why we like to start with that quote is to kind of give you some perspective. If you're not familiar with anyone in the military who's recently active duty, to kind of give you an idea of the average 24-year-old serving the military, what that looks like compared to the average 24-year-old who's just getting out of college, and the amount of responsibility and life experience that comes with that. So why do we focus on that military population, especially when it comes to workforce development and building and kind of an external talent pipeline? For one, you're getting a very different talent source than you're probably used to seeking out. It's very condensed. It's the ability to get into the military is very challenging. It's a very small population. It's actually less than 2% of the U.S. population currently serving on active duty. The qualifications even enter the military. It's very rigorous. It's hard to get in, and the amount of education and training that goes into someone's just even that first 4 years of military service, that one enlistment that they might be going through. For those hiring managers that are on here, I'm sure when you throw your jobs out on Indeed or some other public platforms, you're probably getting a very wild list of candidates coming and knocking on your door. I actually just talked to a company up near Elkhart. They were looking for a press operator, and they posted their job on Indeed, and everything under the sun applied for the job, and not one press operator. A baker actually applied for the job and had no press operating experience. And so when you come to our talent pool, even if someone doesn't have a specific skill set, the amount of qualities and skill sets they have that you kind of pick and choose from, you'll see a greater depth of candidate compared to any other talent source. We believe veterans are an untapped talent source. Every year, 200 to 300,000 leave the military, and 49% of those are up for grabs. So when you exit the military and you have to make that life-changing decision to, figure out what that next chapter is going to look like for you and where you're going to go. Very few go back home, and very few stay where they are. So they're open to something new. They're willing to move to a new state, plant roots down in a new community for the right career path. And we see those, we visit them on base, we meet them where they are, and we want to connect them with the communities here. And so we feel like, when we show up on base and we're the only entity that exists recruiting these individuals, we truly feel that they're an untapped talent source. So what is INvets then? We are a nonprofit organization that wants to build a network of transitioning service members and employers here in the state of Indiana and bring them together. So we are a free source for you to find those individuals who are leaving active duty service with skill sets that you are most likely searching for. As a nonprofit here in the state of Indiana, we are actually part of the state's Next Level Veterans Initiative. So many of you probably have seen the Next Level branding on various things. We are the Next Level Veterans Initiative. And being part of that Next Level Veterans Initiative means that we work hand in hand with the IDVA, the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, and the Indiana Workforce Development. And the way that relationship comes down, so when we're bringing new people into the state, we want to make sure that they have access to as many services as possible the state provides, especially as a veteran, make sure they have access to those benefits. As an employer, that's a big retention piece to make sure that that veteran candidate has those appropriate resources so they can focus on that career and family aspect. And so we don't just help them connect with employers, we actually help them connect with all those different types of resources. We call ourselves a wraparound service in that regards. So our main objective, the whole reason why we exist in the first place is because the state of Indiana currently has 156,000 open jobs that are unfilled. Jobs in various career fields, industries, skill levels, and we simply just don't have the population to meet this demand. And our state is booming. The economic value of our state is known nationwide. Companies want to come here and want to set up shop. Many of your companies are probably growing, and we just don't have the population to fill these open jobs. So our only real ability now is to either bring new people in or really invest in those internal talent pipelines and maintaining our youth and students. So I think a combination of both is always the best policy in my eyes. And as an organization, our sole focus is to bring new residents to the state of Indiana through our military that are transitioning. And how we do this, So we follow a recruit, employ, retain model. On that recruitment effort, we are traveling to 27 active duty military bases on a consistent cycle throughout the year. When you exit the military, 10 years ago was a little bit different story. Right now, when you exit the military, you have to go through a TAP center. Every base has one. It stands for Transition Assistance Program. The goal is to take 5 days to help that individual understand what it's like to write a resume, how to do, conduct themselves in an interview, how to seek out a job that's appropriate for them and their skill sets. All those kind of things that we may not think of as something that needs to be taught to an adult 30-something years old, but in the military you're kind of isolated. It's not just a job, it's a culture, and the way that you do things in the military and the way you conduct your career in the military is very different than in the civilian world. So they just kind of get a crash course on that, on how to apply all those skill sets to their next civilian job and how to find the right job for them. Some are better than others. It's entirely based upon the base they are in, is what kind of quality of their education is on writing a resume and things like that. So we try to fill the gaps when we see them, but we get invited to those TAP centers. So we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 60 individuals at a time that we're talking to who are already exiting the military. Either they're a couple months away from leaving or 10 months out from leaving. They're in various stages of exiting the military. And, one of our core values is we meet them where they are. So we're not trying to push Indiana on them. We're not trying to force them to come here. We want to make sure that, that next chapter in their life is as productive as possible. And if they are not sure what they want to do or where they want to go, we want to make sure that they know what our Indiana communities look like. Indiana doesn't have a bad reputation. It just doesn't have a reputation. We've found when we talk about Indiana on bases, they couldn't even point to us on a map. They have no idea what Indiana is about. And some, they're like, wasn't it just full of cornfields? It's like, well, in some places, but not all places. There's a lot of things to do in Indiana. So we have a lot of marketing material that we want to show them about our communities that we're working with. And then our employers, we bring employers on base. We want employers to talk about their opportunities. We want employers to showcase their companies if they have the ability to. So it all comes down to educating them about Indiana and what Indiana has to offer for them after that military service. On the employment front, that comes down to you as the employer. So INvets offers you a kind of a platform on our website. It's free to use. It doesn't cost you anything. And it allows you to create a profile that showcases your company, who you are, what you do, and what your opportunities are. So you can throw some marketing material on our site. It allows you to access our talent pool. We have over 9,000 candidates in our system right now. So these are people, men and women all over the country who are exiting the military and have various skill sets and qualifications. And you have free access to that entire talent pool. So you can go into our system, you can add some filters, narrow down those candidates based on, so some of you, it sounds like you're in healthcare. There's a lot of healthcare folks in there. For manufacturing, you're in a lot of maintenance operators. Any of you have IT needs, we have a ton of IT folks in there. So you can find those individuals by using those filters and reach out to them. Every candidate has a profile that showcases their personal contact information, their work history, their education, and a link to download their resume and access to their LinkedIn profile if they have it uploaded in there. So you can really get a good sense about this person's capabilities and qualifications before you reach out to them. And then we encourage that you reach out to them because they're going to make a choice to go somewhere. So we want as many people telling them about Indiana as possible. So when you contact them to talk about your opportunity, your company, and just Wayne County in general, what it's like to be a resident there, that's a very powerful tool to utilize when it comes to recruitment, especially in today's time. 10 years ago, recruiting was a lot different. Today's market, you kind of have to seek people out and almost convince them that you're a better option than anywhere else. And then the last piece is the retain model. So we rely heavily on our community partners. We want to make sure that when we are introducing a candidate to an employer, or if an employer reaches out to a candidate, oftentimes that candidate contacts us and say, hey, so-and-so offered me a position. Tell me about this community or maybe the surrounding communities. What's going to be best for me and my family based upon our needs. So on that retainment effort, we see 3 years as the defining factor when someone moves here on if they are going to stay or not. And we follow up with them for that 3-year period to make sure that they are happy where they are and that they have all the resources possible. Whether it's, we put on events, bringing other service members together. We find people in the community who maybe already are veteran, who already transitioned and made their move. as kind of a sponsor in a way. So we try to seek all those out, because what we don't want to do is just focus on the employment front, because that's just the tip of the spear when it comes to transitioning. We're talking about someone's entire life in that next chapter in it. And oftentimes, your candidates are going to have a family that come with them. So we want to make sure that every piece of that puzzle is almost perfect as we can make it. So what we've done so far, we have a little over 480 employers currently working with INvets on from all over the state. We have more and more companies signing up each week. We have 9,000 veterans signing up since January of last year. Always signing up more. I think it's 350 on average a month sign up. And they sign up because they're interested in Indiana. They may not be dead set on coming here, but they're definitely interested. So there's a lot of moving pieces to kind of show them what life in Indiana is going to be like for them if they decide to move here. And then for the past 3 years, on average, we have brought in 400 plus new residents added to the state as first-time residents. So as we grow come July, we're really excited to see that number. We're projecting 600 hopefully by this year, and hopefully get a bunch of those in Wayne County. And then, are you ready? Are you ready to use INvets resources and platform? It's free to use. It doesn't cost you anything. You can go to invets.org and register your company, or the chamber has my contact information. You can just reach out to me directly. Be happy to show you the platform, answer any questions you may have, and really get to understand you and what your needs are as an employer, and then see how we can help. And that's it.
Great. That was a lot of information, and I hope that you all had a chance to take some notes and think through how you can best utilize this service. But Brian, just a couple questions. What have you seen with the individuals that you have worked with? What is it that makes them choose one employer over another?
I think information. Even if you have a job in the military that's pretty easily transferable to a civilian career, when you're in the military, your entire career path is laid out in front of you from start to finish. So the day you enlist, you know what your 20 years from now is going to look like and how you get to that point 20 years from now. And so for a candidate who's then entering, the civilian job market, we're pretty loosey-goosey on what your career path is going to look like, and it's kind of up to you. And that's a new concept for them. So the more information that they can be armed with by an employer on what that company culture looks like, if there is room for advancement, what it takes to advance. And I know not in every case, depending on your size, that's not an easy conversation to have, because you just may not know. But the more resources and the more information you can provide to a candidate, that's what's going to make them decide you over somebody else.
And you talked a little bit about retention and your connection for the 3-year period. During that time, if someone chose to relocate here to Wayne County and they were 24 years old, what kind of connections would you make here? And what kind of connections do you feel like are lacking that we might be able to assist with?
Mm-hmm. So if they're young without a family, we want to make sure that, between different Facebook groups and social media groups, and just finding the veterans in the community that they may want to connect with. But if you have like young professional groups, that's what we really want to connect them with. There was a time when the American Legions and some of these other, well-known veteran groups, social groups, there's a time when those were the most sought after thing. But with this new generation of people coming out, they are signing up less and less and less. They don't want necessarily to be part of this, because they don't want to go have a beer after work. They want to go home to their families. But professionalism and career development, that's going to be one of their biggest focus. So if you have a young professional group, that's always going to be a go-to for us. If it's a young family, we want to make sure, hey, what kind of family activities are going on? Are there family groups? Are there mom groups? Are there dad groups? What kind of things can we show them that's unique to the community that you couldn't find by just Googling it, something that only the community member knows, and how can we access that? So that's going to be a big piece of the retention.
Great. So HYPE is our young professional group, and it is housed in our chamber, and Chantel is the staff lead for that. So any of you that are on this call, if you have young professionals that you're recruiting, whether they're new to the area or not, getting them plugged into hype and some of those activities will help continue to grow that professionalism, as well as make those social connections that hopefully will help with that retention across the board, regardless of where they come from. But so I want to open it up to any of you that might have questions. If you have a question, either just raise your hand or unmute and chime in now.
Not everybody at once.
So veterans are very hard to honestly work with, kind of, because they're so used to that structure.
Mm-hmm.
So how, or what is your best, you kind of talked about a little bit, but to relate with them to make sure they don't fall through the cracks? Because you can invite them, they're almost like young professionals. You can invite them places and they won't show up because you didn't ask the question right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we kind of joke internally in our office about just, it depends on that person's experience, because every branch has a different mindset when it comes to things. Like, I was in the Marine Corps, it's significantly more strict than any other branch versus the Air Force and things like that. It really depends on the experience of what branch, what rank, and how many years. And we joked internally, we brought in through Skillbridge, we brought in an intern in our office who was leaving active duty Air Force. And since we've all been out of the military for a few years, we forgot what it's like to come off fresh active duty. Even ourselves, we forget sometimes. And he came to us, he's like, hey, can I go get a haircut on my lunch break? And we kind of laughed and we're like, it's your lunch break, dude, like go do what you want. But we forgot that in the military, you have to ask permission to do things. Even like if you're going to an event, it'll be not uncommon for like, hey, what's the, what do I wear? Like, what's the uniform of the day? It's like in civilian, like that's on you. That's just something you don't think of. But in the military, those little things that may not matter to the rest of us in the military, all those little things matter, absolutely matter. If you're dressed wrong, even the slightest thing is wrong, it's not a good day for you. So I think it's giving them some patience and time, but like just ask questions, ask them if they truly understand, and I always tell people too, don't think that you have to coddle that person. It's not like the movies or anything else where it's some fragile human being. Like they're adults. they may have some growing pains, but they'll figure it out. But I guess just keeping an open mind and open policy on letting them ask questions.
Good question. Anyone else have any questions?
I did want to add one more thing that I generally find working with employers. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. I have almost 500 employers that I've been working with. A lot of employers, especially manufacturing, will come to us only to tell us about their production roles because they only view someone coming out of the military capable of entry-level general labor, and not understanding that there are a lot of qualifications. I mean, more than half of veterans who are leaving active duty right now have a bachelor's degree or higher. A lot are coming out with master's degrees. If you think about the military, think of it as one giant corporation. Nothing is outsourced. So your accountants, your HR professionals, your PR professionals, all that stuff, there's a job for it in the military. So there's someone in the military doing that job and has been trained for that job. And oftentimes they've been educated in a university to get that job. So pretty much anything you can think of that your company may need, you could find that talent in the military. It's, we often think about the military as someone who's carrying a rifle for a living. That's less than 1% of the military's job. So the rest is a supporting role that actually has some sort of, for lack of a better term, white collar aspect to it to support that person whose job is to carry a rifle for a living.
Great point. Great point. So Teresa asked about getting a copy of the slide deck, and I assume that you don't mind sharing that with us, Brian, right?
Absolutely.
Great. So I will send that out to those of you that attended. And again, we'll also put a link to this presentation on our YouTube page and share that link as well. So you can be looking for that in the next few days. Well, Brian, thanks so much for being with us and for this information and the work that you're doing. We love the fact that you are helping us bring in really qualified individuals to Indiana and helping them acclimate as long-term Hoosiers. And we're looking forward to seeing more and more of them come to Wayne County and fill the roles that we have here. So appreciate those of you that joined us today, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.